like, maybe it was before, I don't remember. If I had 2 divided by the square root of 3, can I leave the square root in the bottom? No. So what do you do? Multiply by another square root. Okay? When we had something bigger, like, let's do 2 plus the square root of 3. What did I multiply by? 2. Yeah, you change the sign. This is the conjugate. Remember we talked about that? These are conjugates of each other where you change the sign. And why do I do that? Why am I multiplying by this? To get rid of the radical. Okay?
One relates to conjugate.
Huh?
One relates to conjugate.
Yes, this is the conjugate of this. Okay, so when we talk about I, what does I equal? Square root of -1. Okay, so if I have I in the denominator, it still means there's a radical in the denominator. And we can't have radicals in the denominator. So it's a similar situation today where we do this, except we don't really have radicals. We're going to have maybe radicals and i's.
I thought I just meant -1.
No, square root of -1. Because it's an imaginary number, you can't take the square root of a negative.
I squared.
So I is that, I squared is -1. Gotcha. Okay, so if I give you, let's just start with this. If I give you 3 plus 2i, 3 plus 2i, what do you think the conjugate of that would be? 3 minus 2i, that's it. Now, when we did square root, like a square root of 3, I didn't change the sign here. Okay, but if I do something like a 5i, you do have to change the sign here. The conjugate would be -5i. So here's the original, here's the conjugate. So you have to change the sign on any of them. So we're just going to do a couple simplifying ones. And then that's it. So really, it's not super new because you've done this before. Okay, so 1 plus 6i over 5i. We're going to simplify that. Okay, so what do I multiply by? -5i. You have to change the sign. -5i over -5i. So on the top, I'm going to distribute back to this. So I'm going to do -5i times 1. And then -5i times 6i. What would that give me?
30i squared.
-30i squared.
Oh my goodness. It's a lot of i's.
Divided by,
-25i squared.
good, -25i squared.
I thought they cancel out though.
They, what do you mean cancel out?
Isn't that why we multiply by the
Yes, well, because what's I squared? -1. So once you multiply, then I change things over here. So if this is -1, what does this whole thing on the bottom change to? A positive 25. What does this whole thing change to? Positive 30. And then I'm going to rewrite that. So I've got -5i plus 30 over 25.
That's the answer.
Is that my answer?
Yeah.
Of course not.
What can I take out of all 3 of those? A 5. And if you can't take it out of all 3, then you can't take it out. That becomes a 6, and that becomes a 5. Sorry, I did not remember. So -i plus 6 over 5. Now, standard form, really, it's the other way around. Remember, we wrote things in a plus bi yesterday. So I would really try to work on writing it like that, 6 minus I over 5. That way you have it always in the correct form. Okay, let's do another one. Verb 2. Six plus 5i over -2i. what do I multiply by? Positive 2i, good. So multiply by 2i on top and 2i on bottom. And then just distribute. I just distribute backwards here. So 12i plus 10i squared over negative 4i squared.
I got it.
So you just multiply the bottoms together?
Yep. So this becomes negative 10. This becomes positive 4. So 12i minus 10 divided by 4. Can I reduce anything?
Yes.
Yeah, a 2. So this is going to be 6, 5, and 2. And then I'm going to go ahead and switch the top here. So it's negative 5 plus 6i divided by 2. That way it's in the form a plus bi. Yes,
If you count it wrong, if you didn't have it written like that.
Okay, gotta remember that.
just remember a
Same.
plus bi.
It's gonna make me sad on the test.
Did you pound out on the little?
Because this is the form that should be written.
Oh, no.
Okay, number 3.
Yeah, I think there were like two. Was there like two what? Of those, we like.
Well, anytime you have a real number and an I, your answer should always go real number and then the I, always. Okay, number 3. What do I multiply by? 7 plus 8i over 7 plus 8i. So on the top, you can just distribute the 2. So 14 plus 16i. What do you do on the bottom? FOIL, or I'm going to conjugate so I can do the shortcut. Just 7 times 7, 49. And then negative 8i plus 8i, negative 64i squared. Because remember, if you multiply conjugates together, the middle terms cancel anyways.
Oh my gosh.
So this becomes plus 64. So on top we have 14 plus 16i. You gotta do some adding on the bottom. What's 49 plus 64?
113.
Yes. 113?
Yeah.
Can I reduce that at all?
No.
No, so that's my answer.
That was my time to shine. With 113, she was like, I trust you. Human calculator.
So if we're doing the conjugates, you can just square the first one.
Freaking mathematician.
Okay, number 4, let's do a couple more. 4 minus 2i over 7 minus 3i. So we did one where you multiplied just a single term, one where I've got a single number on top, and now one where I've got binomial on top and bottom. Guys. So what do we multiply by? Good. 7 plus 3i over 7 plus 3i. Now on the top, you do have to FOIL here. So 4 times 7 is 28 plus 12i minus 14i minus 6i squared. Sorry. So I FOILed the top, and then on the bottom, you can do your shortcut. 7 times 7, 49. Minus 9i squared. So I would first simplify your I squareds, that way they're gone. So this becomes a plus 6, and this becomes don't get confused. Because what I've seen is some people will do the shortcut on top, and you can't do that. Okay, so let's do some combining like terms here. On the top, I've got 28 plus 6, which is what, 34? Plus 12i minus 14i, which is minus 2i. What do we get on bottom? 49 plus 9? 58? That's what I got. Can I simplify that?
Yes.
Yes, everything can be divided by 2. So 17, 1, 29, thank you. So final answer, 17 minus I over 29.
Oh, I put I on the 17.
Okay, I have one more for you, and these are the kind of weird ones that I see people make the most mistakes on.
Before.
Okay, so and the reason is you just have to be careful when you do it. Number 6? Are we on number 5? Okay, so this is the kind, bless you. You're gonna have an I and a radical. Okay, so just take it slow, because when you start to multiply is when I just see the little mistakes. So what do you think we're gonna multiply by? Perfect. Negative 5i square root 6. So I just changed the sign. Okay, so when you multiply, just be really careful. Look at the top. What can I multiply together on the top?
The 5.
The negative 5 and the 30. So that becomes negative 150i square root 6.
It's a lot.
That's why I say just take it slow. And I would give yourself some space on these. Okay, on the bottom, be careful here. You have 5 times negative 5. Negative 25. I times I squared, square root 36. Okay, so everything is multiplied by the next one. Okay, so on the top, I can't simplify anything yet on the top, so let's just leave that alone. Let's start here. What does this negative 25i squared become? Positive 25. And what's the square root of 36? 6. So this is 25 times 6, which is
150.
150.
Woo!
That's it. So the 150s cancel. Don't lose your negative there. It's negative I square root 6 is your answer.
That's not as bad as
It's not. It's just you'll just go too fast and you'll miss something. That's the only thing. Okay. Are we good, or do you want to do another radical one?
How about we stop?
Okay. I'm gonna do another radical one. Guys, listen. Shh. Actually, I'm still gonna record. I'm gonna do one more radical one, but if you're good to go, then start on your worksheet. If you want another one, shh, guys. There are some people who want another one, so please don't talk. Square root 12 over 3i square root 6. Guys, quiet, please. So I multiply by this whole thing on bottom, and I change the sign. Negative 3i square root 6. Negative 3i square root 6. So the only difference in this one is instead of a regular number on top, I have a radical. we go. Okay, so on the top. Hey guys, I'm recording this. Please stop talking. So, yes, so the 6 comes out. So negative 18I square root 2. And then on the bottom, over here we've got positive 9 times 6. So 54. Yes, you can do more than 2 though. They both divide by 9. Right? Ooh, do they divide by 18? I think 18 goes into 54. 18 times 3? Yes. So that's gone, and that is going to be a 3. Or you can do it by 6 or 3 and then 9 and break it down the end. Just make sure it's in simplest terms. So negative I square root 2 over